Hello everyone, welcome to the second part of the video on dichotomy between environmentalism and possibilism. In this video I am going to talk about possibilism. So possibilism is the next step in the evolution of environmentalism. So basically has developed as a reaction to the extreme generalization of environmentalism, and this has gained popularity in the post World War I time. Although the concepts and the philosophy has evolved in the 19th century, but it gained popularity only after the World War I time period. So basically, in this possibilism, it presents man as an active agent in the environment rather than as a passive agent. And it is the belief, possibilism is the belief which asserts that natural environment provides options, the number of which increases with as the knowledge and technology of a cultural group develop. So the meaning of this is that there are always possibilities or options being provided by the nature, and it's up to the man or up to the society or the cultural group of the humans to utilize them. Like post-industrial revolution, as the technology and knowledge of the society has developed, we are able to exploit the natural resources a lot than in the primitive stage or in the pre-industrial stage of the time period. So like how environmentalism has made popular by the German School of Geography, possibilism was made popular by the French School of Geography. So the French geographers, they basically saw in the physical environment a series of possibilities for human development, but the actual way in which development took place were related to the culture of people concerned. The only exceptions or the possible exception is in the extreme climate regions, like in harsh deserts or tundra regions. Otherwise, it is possible for the humans. Otherwise, it is possible for development to happen based on the culture of the people concerned. The prominent proponents of the possibilism among the French in the French School of Geography are Lucien Febvre and Vidal de Lablache. So Lucien Febvre is the main proponent, and as per him, the true and only geographical problem is that of utilization of possibilities. That is, there are no necessities but everywhere possibilities. The essence of this statement is that the main problem is utilizing the possibilities, that as long as we don't have necessities we cannot exploit them. For example, in the low technology time, like in the ancient times, the nature is providing the same possibilities in the ancient time and in the modern times, but only with the advance of technology and knowledge, the man or the society was able to access the possibilities now. And also, necessity is the mother of inventions. According to him, man is a geographic agent and not the least. That is, he is a important agent in changing the physiogeny of the earth. Also, Febvre has set out to demolish environmental deterministic argument by asserting the mobility of man as against the passivity of environment, because they contributed to the formation of next group's cultural surroundings or milieu, that is the person's social environment. Febvre also has set out to demolish the environmental deterministic argument by asserting the mobility of man as against the passivity of environment. This he has explained in terms of passing of the information to the subsequent cultural group's evolution. For example, the present any cultural group has evolved from a previous cultural group or previous tribes, in which the man in the past have played an important role in passing of the information or traditions or the knowledge from them, which has evolved to the current generation. The next main proponent in the possibilism is Vidal de Lablache. He is the strong supporter of possibilism, and in fact he is the founding father of the French School of Geography. He has refuted physical determinism and advocated possibilism. As per the Lablache, nature sets the limits and offers possibilities for humans, but the way man reacts or adjusts to these conditions depends on his own traditional way of life. Also, As per him, there is no question of geographical determinism. However, geography is a key that cannot be dispensed with. So basically, Lablache is not a. So basically, Lablache has realized the limitations imposed by the nature or environment at the large scale. The next proponent in the French School of Geography is the Brunhes. As per him, limited human activity is possible within the nature bounds. That is, even he is also of the opinion that nature has set the bounds in the larger scale, but then human activity has in all ways is able to exploit the possibilities in the within those nature bounds. Another famous French possibilist is H.J. Fleur. H.J. Fuller is, as the for the first time, has tried to formulate the world regions based on human characteristics rather than traditional climatic biotic regions. For example, for the first time, uh, he brought a scheme which included like regions of hunger, industrialized regions, and regions of effort to name a few. Possibilism has also been influential in the rise of school of cultural geography in the west of Atlantic Ocean, that is America, and Carl Sawyer is the main proponent of the school of cultural geography. It also has led to the development of the idea of human ecology, and the main proponent of this concept is H. Barrows. Now coming to the examples of the possibilism, there have been many great climato-botanic frames on the either side of the equator eh, with unequally which are unequally favorable for the different human races and not even fit for the human development equally in all the regions. But the thing is, these impossibilities are never absolute, even for the races which are least adapted to them, because it is with the persistence and supple will of the man all such probabilities are found to be upset. That is, in spite of all the difficulties posed by the nature, man is still able to overcome them in spite of being least adapted to these factors. Also, environmental determinism thesis said that such forces, that is, the nature forces, are very decisive and act directly on man. But then, what really happens is that these possibilities are awakened one after another according to the nature and initiative of the occupier. So that is the reason why we are able to. That is, a man is able to able to inhabit it even in the harsh climate like desert regions or even in the tropical regions. He is able to overcome the environmental determinism forces. And also, the possibilists are hoping that the society's imposition of various practices, beliefs, etc., are in a way have hampered the man's utilization of possibilities and its exploitation of and their exploitation of his environment. Possibilists also argue that it's impossible to explain difference in human society and history of that society with reference to just the influence of physical environment, because the possibilists hold that man himself brings his influence to bear on that environment and changes it. And coming back to again the possibilism proponents, that is Vidal de Lablache, he has advocated and preached the philosophy of possibilism. That is basically the philosophy of possibilism is this: it's a belief that people are not just the products of their environment or just pawns of natural environment. They are more than that. To explore more on this philosophy, he has in his studies he has minimized the influence of environment on the activities of man. For example, he says that lifestyles are products and reflection of a civilization rather than the nature. And also, he is of the opinion that, and also he says that the differences between groups in the same or similar environment are the outcomes of variation in attitudes, values, and habitats, but not are actually due to the dictates of physical environment. This is basically the criticism in environmentalism. That is, the people living in the same environmental region have the same characteristics. But if you take an example of people like Kashmiris or Bakarwalas in Kashmir region, sorry, where the climate and geography is same, but their culture groups have the different characteristics. And Vidal de Lablache, he says that this is basically because of the variations in their attitudes, values, and habitats, in spite of located in the same physical environment. The proponents in the post Vidal de Lablache period in the France are the Jean Brunhes, who is the strong supporter of possibilism. And in America, we find the H. Barrows, who is the ecologist. He gave greater importance to man than to environment in his man-environment relationship. Another famous person is the Carl Sawyer, who is the cultural geography proponent. He has asserted that geographers' role is to investigate and understand the nature of the transition from the natural to the cultural landscape, because from such an exercise, he says that the geographer will be able to identify the major changes that had occurred in an area as a result of the occupancy by the succession of human groups. For example, it will be helpful in understanding why the crops can be grown better in the acclimatized regions rather than in those places where it has been originated and domesticated, like the wheat and tobacco, which have greater yields in America, are not actually the native crops of America, but they are still able to get better yields than where it has been actually originated. So, in the summary of possibilism, we can say that as per the possibilist nature is never more than an advisor for them, and there are no necessities, but everywhere possibilities. That is the main thing, which deviates from the environmental determinism. It also involves man in the first place, and the man, and no longer the earth, nor the influence of climate, nor the determinate conditions of localities. Basically, they blindly ignored all the natural settings on any activity, and the range of possibilities in every region is limited more by the price man is willing to pay for what he wants than by the dictates of the environment. For example, with his knowledge and technical skill, man can be able to grow bananas or rice or anything in Antarctica region also. But he has to take into consideration the input cost. And the main limitations in the possibilism concept are: man can never entirely rid themselves of the whole of the physical environment that has on them. And in fact, many possibilists has realized these limitations imposed by the environment. For example, possibilists like Brunhes, Vidal de Laplace, they have realized this limitation. However, the limit set by the nature to man's action may vary over space and time. For example, in regions like tundra and desert, it is very difficult to overcome the limits which were set by the nature, that is in the spatial context, and the same way in the time context, as compared with the low developed techniques in the ancient and medieval times, and compared with the modern highly developed techniques, it's able to overcome the limitations imposed by the nature on the man. But notwithstanding the many skills man may acquire, he can never free himself entirely from the nature's control. And the possibilism criticism goes like this: in spite of the numerous possibilities in a given physical setting, man cannot go against the directions laid by the physical environment. Also, many critics have argued that possibilism has encouraged over anthropocentrism in geography by neglecting the study of physical environment. So it has completely discouraged the study of nature and physical environment in this possibilism philosophy. And it also has exaggerating the role of culture and neglecting the importance of natural environment completely. And when we compare the possibilism with determinism, possibilistics generally recognize the limits to action which environment has set. That is, they basically realize their limitations, and they in fact avoid the great generalization which has characterized their antagonists. With this, we complete the topics on determinism and possibilism. Thank you.